Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the City Council meeting for Monday, December 14th. Call to order. This is the joint City Council and successor agency to the former Series Redevelopment Agency and successor agency to the Stanislaus Series Redevelopment Commission meetings order. City Clerk, may I get the roll call?
There's a notice that we need to read to the public.
Yes. This meeting will be held in accordance with the Executive Order N-2920 issued by California Governor Gavin Newsom on March 17, 2020. The Ralph M. Browns Act, California Government Code Section 54950 ET-SEQ, and the Federal Americans with Disabilities Act. This meeting will not be physically open to the public. All members of the public may participate and comment via the application Zoom. Zoom meeting information and call information was posted on the agenda on the city's website. Remote public comment is also available by emailing the city clerk at cityclerk@ci.series.ca.us. The city clerk will read your comments into the recording during the public comment record. Can we get the roll call, please?
Yes, Mayor. Council and Agency Member Chance Condit.
Here.
Vice Mayor and Agency Member Rhino. Here. Council and Agency Member Silvera.
Here.
Council and Agency Member Cooper Condit.
Present.
And Mayor and Chairperson Lopez.
Here. Pastor Corners will give the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance will follow. Pastor Dick Connors from the Series First Baptist Church, are you here?
I do not see him as a list of attendees, Mayor.
So I think Councilman Chance Condit has offered to do the invocation for us this evening.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Please bow your heads with me in prayer. Dear Lord, as we gather here tonight, I pray for your healing hand on our country, on our city, and our world. Our world is going through some troubles and some tribulations, and I ask for your guidance now more than ever. I ask for your guidance for our elected officials, both nationally, statewide, and here locally. I ask that you give us wisdom and always to seek reason and work cordially with one another, Lord. And I ask that you pray and protect our first responders, our men and women who serve in the military, and keep us safe here, keep our families safe here at home. And as we enter the holiday season, let's be thankful for one another and thankful for your mercy. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. No, the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, everybody, we have two presentations today. We're recognizing Councilmember Chance Condit. And Chance Condit, we have a certificate for you from the Board of Supervisors, Stanislaus County, and from the United States Congress, from Josh Hardner. I would like to read what the plaque says here. In heartfelt appreciation to Chance Condit for dedication to public service as City Council member from 2018 to 2020, presented this 14th day of December 2020, City of Ceres, from the Mayor and the City Council of City of Ceres. Together we achieve. Do you have anything to say at the moment?
Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. I'm just appreciative to the city. I'm going to reserve most of my comments for the report section tonight, but I'm very appreciative. I want to thank the staff. You guys work very hard on our behalf each and every day, and we, the council, appreciate it, and the citizens of Ceres appreciate you. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Add this to you. We also have a presentation for Harry Herbert, former city treasurer. We actually have three certificates for him. Our Board of Supervisors and the United States Congress, Josh Hardner, and also from the State Assembly. Mr. Herbert, in heartfelt appreciation to Harry Herbert for dedication to public service as city treasurer from 2011 to 2020. We present this 23rd day of November 2020, City of Ceres, from the City Council, City of Ceres, together we achieve. And he's not here today, is he?
That's right.
Oh, there he is. Okay. I'd like to hand this to you, sir. So now we open up to city's communications. To the council on this matter not included on the agenda, we have 5 minutes. While the city council welcomes and encourages participation in the city council meetings, adopted rules allow no more than 5 minutes resolutions number 2007-106 for expression of non-agenda items. Matters under the jurisdiction of the city council and not on the posted agenda may be addressed by the general public. However, California law prohibits the city council from taking any action on this matter which is not posted on the agenda unless it is determined to be an emergency by the city council. Citizens are entitled to address the city council on any agenda item subject to the 5-minute provision. Public comments will now be accepted through Zoom. For the participating through the web, please raise your hand to request to speak. Hand icon bottom of your screen. If you are participating by telephone, please press 9 on your phone. The city clerk will call your name in the order the requests are received. When it is time for you to speak, the city clerk will unmute your microphone. City clerk, please provide the name of each person that has requested to speak.
Yes, Mayor. The first person is Lee Brandt. Mr. Brandt, I will unmute your mic. Your mic is
Good evening,
unmuted.
Council, I would just like to congratulate everybody that won their position and wish you the best of luck for the next 4 years, 2 years, however it works out. And all I can say is good luck and God bless each and every one of you. And Chance, that was a great invocation. That's it.
Next person, Mayor, is Dave Pratt.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Dave Pratt. I'm just want to congratulate everybody in their new positions, and hopefully that we can get back to in-person meetings instead of this all over the place. Congratulations.
Next person, Mayor, is John Warren. Mr. Warren, I will unmute your mic.
Can you hear me? Good evening, council. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I would like to take this opportunity as a citizen of the city of Ceres to congratulate the new mayor and council members on the recent election and welcome to the council. I would also like to take this opportunity to express my thanks and congratulations to Councilman Chance Condit for moving on to the board of the county and for doing a great job working with the Ceres City Council. Thank you and have a good evening.
There are no other hands raised, Mayor.
Have we received any public comments through email?
Not in regards to public comment. I did receive 2 comments that we have 2 people unable to connect to Zoom.
Okay, thank you. For our next item, we have the selection for vice mayor, and I recommend Cooper Condit for vice mayor. He will be an exceptional person to be the vice mayor, and he is dedicated to dedicate his time in case I'm not present. So I would like to recommend Cooper Condit.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I accept your nomination and the responsibility that comes with it. I look forward to the work.
Thank you very much, Cooper.
So is this open to discussion or is it strictly the mayor's call?
It's open to discussion and ratification by council.
Well, I don't know how he would feel about this, but I would like to nominate Councilmember Silvera because I believe he has the type of schedule that would allow him to step in at any time for you because of his proximity to Ceres.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Councilmember Rhino, and I would gladly accept that nomination from you. And you are correct, my availability is great, and I think I would do a wonderful job if Mayor Lopez wasn't able to make it to a meeting for whatever reason. I'm getting close to retirement, and availability is one of the reasons I decided to do this at this point in my life, besides getting more involved with our community. So I think it would be a great thing to be a seat as the Vice Mayor of the City of Ceres. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Silvera. Any other comments? Okay, so I guess the next thing we need to do is go for a vote.
Yes, Mayor.
Can I get a second on Cooper Condit?
Second.
Second.
I'll now call the roll. Mayor. Council and Agency Member Cooper Condit,
Yes.
Vice Mayor and Agency Member Rhino,
No,
Council and Agency Member Silvera,
No.
Council and Agency Member Chance Condit,
Aye.
and Chairperson Lopez.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-2.
Thank you. The next thing we would like to move on is for the Planning Commission and Measure H Oversight Committee appointment process. Committee to interview. Mr. Westbrook, could you please?
Thank you, Mayor
elaborate?
Lopez, council members. So the application period for both the Measure H committee and the Planning Commission ended last Friday. We received 6 applications for the Planning Commission. There will be 3 positions up for the Planning Commission. Additionally, the Measure H, we received 3 applications. There's 2 positions for the Measure H. What we would like to do at this point in time is get a committee together to interview for the Planning Commission and the Measure H panels. So historically, it's usually been the mayor and 1 other council member. It could be the same for both. It could be different for the Planning Commission and the City Council. So we do have some applications. If we can get those interviews done, we would hopefully appoint at your next meeting, which would be on January 11th, 2021.
Thank you.
Mayor, I would like to sit on the Planning Commission interview. I don't know if you intend to do both of them at the same time, but I believe with my almost 30 years of being with the Planning Commission or the Planning Department that I would be a good fit for that.
Thank you. How many people can we have? It could be me and 2 city council members or just 1?
It would be a forum.
Yeah, just
Okay.
2 council members.
Just 2 council members?
Yep.
I would go with Linda Rhino and Mr. Silvera. Would you be interested in sitting in that?
Yeah, absolutely, especially the Measure H committee, since with my law enforcement background, I think that would make a lot of sense.
That'd be great. And I would like to point to Linda Rhino and Silvera for that.
So would you sit on those 2, Mayor, or would you just
If
have?
I'm allowed to, yes.
Okay.
If I can, yes. If either.
So then perhaps for the Planning Commission, it would be Mayor Lopez and Councilperson Rhino, and for Measure H would be Mayor Lopez and Councilman Silvera.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Sounds great. Thank you. Okay, so for the next item, conflict of interest declaration. Is there anyone that has from the council that would like to declare a conflict of interest for the consent calendar? Okay. For the consent calendar, all matters listed on the consent calendar are considered routine in nature and will be enacted by a single motion unless otherwise requested by the individual council member or public of special consideration. Otherwise, the recommendation of staff will be accepted and acted upon by a roll call vote. Is there anyone on the council that would like like an item pulled from further discussion.
Number 6.
Number 6. Is there anyone from the public that would like to a consent item pull from further discussion? If so, please select the hand icon in the Zoom.
Mayor, we have one hand raised, Dave Pratt. Dave, I'll unmute your mic.
Number 9, please.
Number 9. Okay, let's begin with number 6, resolution number 2020-125, amending the conflict of interest code to reflect changes in the organization.
Mayor,
Yes.
if I may, please.
Yes,
We
you may.
first will approve the,
Want to approve everything else? Okay.
Move to approve items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, and 11.
Second.
Second.
Okay, City Clerk, let's go for a roll call.
yes, Mayor. Council and Agency Member Chance Condit,
Aye.
Council and Agency Member Rhino,
Yes.
Council and Agency Member Silvera,
Yes.
Vice Mayor and Agency Member Condit,
Aye.
and Chairperson and Mayor Livett.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Now we can go ahead and talk about number 6, resolution number 2020-125, amending the conflict of interest code to reflect changes in the organization. That's open for discussion.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Westbrook, I wanted to ask how this came about, a little background of the conflict of interest and how that affects our city staff, and our elected officials.
Yeah, generally, this is something that's required by the state of California. Typically, if there are employees that have influence over contracts, taking items to the planning commission and or the city council, generally they have to sign a conflict of interest waiver, so that if there's a conflict in any of their work dealings that may benefit them financially, then they have to declare a conflict. And so at this point in time, we usually do this every couple of years. We update this list. At this moment in time, we are looking to take some of the police sergeants off of the list of the conflict of interest, but remain with the lieutenants, the captain, and the chief in the police department.
Okay, great. I think that's great that we're being balanced and not coming down with too heavy of a fist. But I do think that there's room for improvement on this matter as it relates to former employees and former elected officials. And I would like to make a motion to amend this main motion to add to the code that for an 8-year period after either leaving elected office or terminating employment with the city, that is also included in this motion.
Mr. Hallinan, is that something that can be made at this juncture?
We can always be, have a broader disclosure. With the breadth of that one, I'd like to look at it and bring it back if we could, if that's the will of the council, just to check on the years, for example. I'm not sure about that as we sit here, but you can certainly be, have a more restrictive code than what the state law requires. And so the motion is generally in order, yes. But if we could bring it back just so I could look at the 8 years and as to both elected and staff, that would be my request.
If that's legal or constitutional,
Right.
city attorney.
Right.
Well, I understand that from my knowledge of the conflict interest declaration. 8 years seems reasonable to me. That gives 2 whole council terms of this disclosure, and I think really promotes transparency credibility and responsibility for our city, and I think would be a good thing forward. I did make a motion. If I'm lucky enough to get a second, I respectfully ask for an aye vote. And I look forward to any discussion or from my council members or from the public.
I could always just come back and say you need to maybe tweak it here or there, but you could certainly just do that tonight as well, yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Rhino, you would like to say something?
Yes. I thought that the conflict of interest, the way it was written, was just really to spell out that you had to conflict out if you were going to receive some kind of a monetary, some kind of an impact. Isn't that generally what what our conflict of interest is? But I don't get the 8 years. I don't know. Does that mean that when a council member leaves that for 8 years? Well, I guess I don't understand that. Can you explain that to me, Vice Mayor? But what does the 8 years do? I don't understand it.
Well, that would be just after you or myself leave office for the 8 years that follow, we would participate in this conflict interest declaration.
No, but what does that mean? That when somebody has left office, that they couldn't come back and work for the city? Or I don't understand what that means. But I don't understand.
Well, I'll read you the exact language.
Okay.
Councilwoman.
'Cause I looked at it and I didn't see anything about any kind of years in there.
So it's section 82041, and it states elected officials or folks of the governing body or agency shall not, for a period of, currently it's 1 year, I'm made a motion for 8 years, after leaving office or employment, act as an agent or attorney for or otherwise represent for compensation any other person by making any formal or informal appearance before or by making an oral or written communication to that local government agency or any committee, subcommittee, or present member of that local government agency or any officer or employee of the local government agency if the appearance or communication is made for the purpose of influencing administrative or legislative action or influencing any action or proceeding involving the amendment, awarding, or revocation of a permit, license, grant, or contract, or the sale of purchase of goods or property.
Thank you. Do we currently have that section 82401 in ours?
Yes, because it's
attorney?
state law.
State law, right.
For 1 year only.
For 1 year only, which
Right.
I believe is fair. I think to ask any employee who falls under this conflict right now that they can't do anything with the city for 8 years. I just don't think that seems like a very excessive amount of time to me, as well as anyone that's sitting on the council, especially when you're going to continue to live in the city, then you're excluded for 8 years.
If I may, Vice Mayor Condit, where did this come from? You decided, where did this come from to change that requirement from 1 year to 8 years?
Well, it's my belief that government needs to be transparent, and we as elected officials have a special responsibility, even after we leave office, to carry that on and be transparent to the public and be accountable for what we do even after we leave office. So that's where it came from. This is my idea. I always wanted to do it. I talked about it during my campaign. So that's where it came from, Councilman.
Thanks. In my 30 years working in public safety, I know probably the same in other local government situations. That would not give us the ability to utilize, possibly utilize somebody's training, knowledge, and as a benefit to the city after they've left the city for 8 years. It's pretty much common knowledge that people go into the fields of consulting. They are recruited and by cities and local governments for their expertise in what they do and what they've done in their lives. And I think if we were to say right now that they couldn't do that for 8 years, that could definitely be a detriment to the city and the possibilities that that person may be able to add to what we do every day. I'm definitely not in favor of that.
So, Councilman, you're not in favor because, I just want to clarify your position. You're not in favor because folks who leave office could become consultants and work on behalf of a client and already have relationships in the city and be able to work in the city. That's what you're saying.
In my opinion, it would limit the possibilities of the city being able to utilize their knowledge and training in whatever field it may be. It may not be at all related to the council, but it could be in something else in the city. If you're an engineer by trade and you happen to be a city council person and you're not the city council person anymore, but you have great knowledge in engineering that the city could take advantage of, those people would be left out for 8 years. I just can't see that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think what the Vice Mayor is getting at is this could potentially add an avenue for people who are elected to lead them to potentially benefit on public contracts later on down the road, such as SRWA or other public contracts. And being that they had been either formally elected or formally employed as a city administrator, they would have an inside track of getting preference. And I would agree, I don't know that's necessarily 8 years, maybe it's 5 years, but I do think it's good government and it would be good policy in moving forward. And it would also, it would take away the potential of there being a conflict if there was some sort of preferential treatment or the perception of preferential treatment. So I do think it's good policy and I would support the recommendation.
It seems to me if that would be the case, then the California Code, who I'm sure the state has looked at that very closely, would state something different. I just can't see that being an issue.
So Cooper, your goal is to go above and beyond what the state recommends. I personally feel that 8 years is too much. So maybe we should touch on this subject matter in the future. I believe 8 years is way too much. Somebody like myself who's new in office in the future would love to continue serving this community. And after 4 years, if I wouldn't be able to do that, then it would just kind of defeat the purpose of trying to, give everything that I can to the city. So I think that it sounds like you're in the right direction. But I think 8 years is a little bit too much. So I would almost agree with Chance as well. 8 years might be a little bit too much. So I guess
I would second the Vice Mayor's recommendation with the amendment that we do a 4-year window instead of an 8-year. That way
And
it gives.
if I could ask the city attorney, would the declaration eliminate folks who held office from doing work with the city, even if they, filed this declaration?
Well, yes, I mean, it would just make from 1 year to 4 instead of your 8, according to the state, that code section that you cited.
But if you file a conflict of interest declaration, you cannot contract with an employer to do work in relation to the city of Ceres. That's correct.
Well, that section actually says regardless of your filing, you just are barred from it. So this would change the bar from 1 year to 4 years.
4 years. Okay. Thank you.
Before we go further, Mr. Hallinan, you had mentioned possibly tabling this so we could get some more information. Is that on the table before we take a vote?
Okay,
That's
so
all
the-
of your
the
calls. Yeah.
motion made.
I would leave that up to the vice mayor if he wants to pull his motion. He does have a second on the floor, though, for a 4-year.
I would respectfully ask for a vote tonight.
City Clerk, can we please go for a vote?
Yes. Um,
Oh, okay. Is there any public comments on this matter? Is there any public comments in email?
We have one person who raised his hand. Let me unmute Dave Pratt. He's had it
Oh.
hand up for some time. Dave Pratt, your mic is unmuted.
I'm sorry, because I just left it up for the number 9. I'm sorry,
Okay.
but okay.
Mr. Yakely has his hand up. Gene, I will unmute your mic.
Yes, Gene Yakely, Series. On this particular discussion right now, I think they're in the right direction. Maybe 8 years is a little bit too long, but 4 seems pretty reasonable. And I think the reason behind some of this is every city has some conflict of interest. There's people on city councils and other areas and departments in different cities, not just Ceres, it's all over the country, that have conflict of interest, and they tend to benefit from their association with people in the group that they serve with the city. I think this is a good thing. I think a year is kind of iffy, but 4 years is more than appropriate. Thank you.
Next person is John Warren. Mr. Warren, I will unmute your mic.
Yes, good evening, council. I would concur with Councilman Chance Condit that 4 years is a more reasonable timeframe. Recently, I think on the national level, there was some concern about a person taking office within a 7-year period after holding some other government position. So I think this kind of falls in line where someone can't accept or receive monetary benefit from a position he or she may have held while at an elected position. So I think 4 years is a reasonable time frame. Thank you.
Vice Mayor, would you consider maybe 2 years?
Well, you know, as I pulled up the full language here, before that section 82041, section A states a local elected official, chief administrative officer of a county, city manager, or general manager, or chief administrator of a special district who helped with a local government agency. So this is strictly for the city manager and elected officials. And I think we all can be accountable and do this for at least 4 years after we leave office. I really don't think that's too much to ask of us. I mean, we're all basically volunteering for this position currently, and I don't see any reason why we wouldn't be able to do this 4 years after.
I'll support 2 years, Mayor.
Vice Mayor, I'm leaning more towards 2 years. Maybe we can also come back to this in the future date if we feel that 4 years is appropriate. How do you feel about that? So he already made his motion, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we have.
Okay, let's go ahead and do the roll call. Do a
Oh.
vote.
So Mayor, I will, as you directed, I will call the roll on the first motion,
Yes,
which
on the
was
first motion, yes.
Cooper Condit's.
With the amended 4 years, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Council and Agency Member Chance Condit.
Aye.
Council and Agency Member Rhino.
No.
Council and Agency Member Silvera.
No.
Vice Mayor, Agency Member Cooper Condit.
Yes.
Chairperson and Mayor Lopez.
No.
Motion failed.
Now we move into resolution number 9.
Mayor, I believe there was a second motion that was proposed. No, there
No.
was.
Unless someone wants to make a motion for 2 years. The Councilman Severa, did you want a motion for 2 years? Or?
No, because I think it should stay at 1, actually. Well, no, I won't motion that.
Well, I'll make the motion for 2 years.
I'll second 2 years.
Mayor, would you like me to call the roll?
Let's just do a roll call.
Council and Agency Member Chance Condit.
Aye.
Council and Agency Member Linda Rhino.
No.
Council and Agency Member Silvera.
Aye.
Vice Mayor and Agency Member Cooper Condit.
Aye.
Mayor and Chairperson Lopez.
Aye.
Motion passes.
For 2 years. Okay, well, now we're going to move to resolution number 9.
Yes. I just want to talk about the overnight camping part of this. It says various zoning districts. Is that all over Ceres?
Yeah, at this point, Mr. Pratt, this is just setting the public hearing for the next meeting on January 11th. That's all this is. There's really no discussion of the ordinance itself. That'll happen on January 11th.
Oh, okay. So there's no discussion on this at the moment.
No, that'll happen if the council agrees. The public hearing for this item would be scheduled on January 11th, 2021.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll move to approve section 9 from the consent calendar to be to January 11th, 2021.
Second.
Let's go for the roll call vote.
Council and Agency Member Cooper Condit.
Aye.
Council and Agency Member Rhino.
Yes.
Council and Agency Member Silvera.
Aye.
Vice Mayor and Agency Member Cooper Condit, Chance Condit.
Aye.
Mayor and Chairperson Lopez.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on to the next items, we have no unfinished business, no public hearing, but we do have new business. Approving of the formation of an ad hoc committee for the purpose of officially naming Eastgate Neighborhood Park. And today, Mr. Lohr is not here today, so I was wondering if you could please elaborate on that.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Lopez, council members. This item has been continued a couple of times. As you may recall, Eastgate Park is currently under development on the east side of town on Eastgate Boulevard. Formerly, when the city adopted its Parks and Recs master plan in 2016, the park was named Eastgate Park. There was some discussion earlier this fall of potentially renaming that to a new name. That can be done. We do have a process by which the formation of a park and names can be considered. Historically, that's been done for a couple of parks back in the mid-2000s. Those were River Bluff Regional Park. It was Sam Rhino Park, Neal Park, and Lions Park were named under a kind of an ad hoc committee where there was a member of 1 to 2 members of the city council, in addition to the what would be the recreation division supervisor or manager, Mr. Lohr, and then those former councils appointed some members of the public. And so tonight, we're really not talking about the naming of the park. We're just talking about the creation of the ad hoc committee and who from the city council may wish to be a part of that process, in addition to if there was any public members that may be interested in participating in that effort. Once we have the formation of the ad hoc committee, Mr. Lohr will be working with the ad hoc committee to come through the process to solicit names for consideration by the council for the naming of that park, Eastgate Park. So with that, I would be available to answer any questions that you might have.
Anybody have questions?
I have no questions, but I'd move to approve the formation of an ad hoc committee with myself being the council person from District 3, another council member, Mr. Lohr from the recreation manager, and one or two people from the public to form that committee. And the rest of it, we would, once the committee was formed, we would go over the rest of the specifications of how it would work. That's my motion.
I'll second that. But I think we need to come up with who the other.
Yeah, I would agree with
will be.
Councilman Severa. I do believe District 3, being that it is in your council's district, it's absolutely necessary that you are on that committee. I would possibly recommend the mayor, since he is the leader of our city. I think he would be a valuable asset to the ad hoc committee. And I would also recommend another fellow District 3 resident who's actually a former vice mayor and who was on the original 2005 ad hoc committee when she was the vice mayor, Lisa Montero Moore. And I think she would provide valuable insight on how this process originally came about and how it goes about. So I would just add to the Councilman Severa's recommendation for the nomination of those three individuals.
Have you asked Ms. Montero more if she's interested?
Yes, I have spoken to the former vice mayor and she's interested and she's willing to serve.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chance. We would like to move ahead with that. And I would love to be on that committee. So can we go for a roll call, please?
Yes, Mayor. Council and agency member Chance Condit.
Aye.
Council and agency member Rhino.
Yes.
Council and agency member Silvera.
Aye.
Vice Mayor and agency member Cooper Condit.
Aye.
Mayor and Chairperson Lopez.
Aye.
Motion passes.
So we didn't necessarily open that to the public hearing. To the public, we should probably at least take that step. Is there anybody that's interested in speaking on that matter?
Or a few hands raised. Start with the person. Jean Yakeley, I will unmute your mic.
Yes, Jean Yakeley. This subject came up some time back. I agree that there should be some input in that district. It's pretty obvious. But we're talking about a city, not in particular part of the city. So everyone in our city belongs together. We're united, supposedly. So to segregate that area from the rest of the people that have the right to use that park, there should be input from other areas of the city as a whole, not just that one little section. I don't know what's happened in the past with the other parks that have been named. If they just went by, they didn't have districts then. It was the whole community. And, you know, for some reason, we all know that we went to districts because of various reasons. I don't believe this is fair to the people by, you know, just putting it in a certain district and putting those people in that district to vote for that. That's not rare. That's not fair. And that's not the way we do things in America. Thank you.
Yep, Mr. Yakeley, this is Tom Westbrook. It's certainly there's no intent of that. When the ad hoc committee is formed, they will dictate the process by which they'll solicit names from any resident in the community. It doesn't matter what district you live in. So
Well, when Mr. Westbrook, when you're hearing this, you know, and it's discussed right now, it sure looks like it's in that direction. You know, I could be wrong, you know, but people viewing this, they might have the same idea. Maybe they're just not speaking out. But It should be all open. It shouldn't be, that shouldn't even have been mentioned, the district there, you know. Again, this isn't the way we do things in America. And Siri should go right into line to what we've always done in the United States. Thank you.
Your next person with their hand raised is John Warren. Mr. Warren, I will unmute your mic.
Good evening, Council. John Warren. I would ask Mr. Westbrook for the council, what's the total number of people that would be on this committee?
I think they just voted and there was four persons.
I thought it was just Mr. Silvera, the mayor, and Lisa Montero. That was 3.
Matt Lord.
And Matt Lord, the recreation manager.
I would suggest that at least 2 citizens from the community at large. That would be my suggestion.
Or are you asking for one additional on top of Lisa Montero Moore? Is that what you're asking for?
No, sir. 4 presently, but you don't have anybody from the community, like other areas of the community. 2 more would be a total of 6 on the committee. Thank you.
Tom, when this was formed in 2005, what was the language about how many people could serve on the committee?
It's kind of the council's call. So there was, I believe, on the first naming of the park, River Bluff Regional Park, there was 3. The second set of parks, Sam Ryan O'Neill and Sirius Lions, there were 4 people on the ad hoc committee.
Thank you.
I'm
Yeah.
very confident that Mayor Lopez, being from the entire community, and Lisa Montero Moore, who also will represent the entire community, along with Matt and myself, that would be more than qualified as a committee to make those decisions. And remember, those decisions are just, we're going to decide how it's going to work, how the nomination process and naming process is going to work, how long it's going to be, and those recommendations then will come back to the city council.
You are correct. There are a couple other folks with their hands raised.
Next person that would like to speak is Brandy Meyer. I will unmute your mic.
Good evening, council members. I just wanted to put my hat into the nomination. If there is any space available, I'd like to also participate on that committee.
Next person is Jean Yeakley.
Excuse me, if we're doing solicitation for acceptance on the committee, put me down. It's Jean Yeakley, Y-E-A-K-L-E-Y. Thank you.
There are no other hands.
There's no emails?
Cooper's laughing.
So, and excuse my ignorance if this isn't correct, since we didn't open the public comment section before we took a vote, can we amend that?
Absolutely. If you have a desire as a council to add any more persons to the ad hoc committee, you could just simply make a new motion with members.
I'll make a motion that we accept the 4 names that we had already nominated, along with Ms. Brandy Meyer and Jean Yeakley, to the ad hoc committee for the naming of the now existing Eastgate Park.
Second.
Let's go for the roll call.
Councilman Agency Member Chance Condit.
Aye.
Councilman Agency Member Rhino.
Yes.
Councilman Agency Member Silvera.
Aye.
Vice Mayor and Agency Member Cooper Condit.
Aye.
Mayor and Chairperson Lopez.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. There is no items on the discussion items. Council member referrals. Is there any council members that would like to have an agenda item placed on a future agenda? Ms. Rito?
Yes. In our agenda packet, one of the items that we had on the voucher list for payment was just over $20,000 for the month of October for Howard Training Center for right-of-way landscaping and parks landscaping plans. I would like an item brought to us at a future meeting to show why it would not be feasible to actually hire another parks maintenance worker, which would be cheaper than $20,000 a month. I would just like to see what the comparison would be instead of paying Howard. And I understand that typically Howard would have more clients out there working, but I think since COVID, they've only had one or two. And so I would just like to see if it would be more economically feasible for us to do a parks employee that we would have full time. Thank you.
So is this something that we need a second on? Or is it we just put it on the agenda for the next one for
Well,
recommendation?
whenever they have, it's
Okay.
not a rush.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to reports. At this time, any council members of the city staff will make an announcement or report briefly on his or her activities. I currently have no reports. Any of the city council members?
I do.
Hey, Ms. Reiner?
I'd like to comment about the landscape median at Aristocrat and Malik. That it looks like it's getting pretty close to being done. It just looks so wonderful. Instead of a bunch of dead weeds, dead trees, and now we've got the I don't know what those are, concrete pebble rock things, and then we actually have sprinklers that are going to work. But what a difference for that community. I just think it looks wonderful. And the other thing, I'd just like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and have a safe New Year's Eve.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, first of all, I'd like to thank Gary Condit, the young Gary Condit, for helping us out with the PSA, the public service announcement that we did for Christmas Tree Lane the other night, and it's on the Parks and Rec website, and I believe it's been shared several times. It was a great idea, and he does a great job with it, and so we appreciate that. And as Councilmember Rhino said, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Stay safe, please.
I just have my final remarks to conclude my time here on the city council. So if you could just bear with me. But it's been a great honor to serve the city of Ceres these past 2 years. And I look forward to continuing my service to this city and forming a better county-city partnership through tax sharing that would allow Ceres additional revenue to provide much-needed services to our city residents. I never anticipated running for the Board of Supervisors when I did, and I am truly grateful and humbled to have the confidence of the voters to represent District 5 on the county level. Though my time in city government ended sooner than expected, I believe we have made strides these last 2 years and laid a foundation for our city's progress moving forward. I'm just as proud of the conversation started on tough issues as I am of the policies established by the last council. Conversations such as placing a residency question on the application for future hires, asking the applicant if they would consider locating the Ceres if hired. This question was not only legal, but simple, and at the end of the day, would hold no merit in who the city manager would recommend to be hired by the city council. The spirit of this question was to simply spur interest of the applicant to potentially consider moving to Ceres upon employment. This was never a mandate or a condemnation of the job performance of our current employees who don't reside in our city. The formation of a beautification committee, which was originally voted down, only to be approved months later in its original form, is something I'm very proud to have worked on. I believe this will be beneficial in the long run in keeping the lines of communication and collaboration open between the concerned citizens of our community and code enforcement, and coming up with strategic recommendations for the council to consider in combating blight and improving our quality of life. Conversations of how to address and pay down our city's deficit while maintaining the standard of services was also a tough conversation at times. Frankly, the conversation of whether or not the past council would relinquish its $100,000 health insurance at the expense of the taxpayer has been misconstrued and distorted, dumbed down for lack of comprehension of the issue at heart, which was coming up with ways to tackle our city's deficit. This was always a budgetary issue. You see, this conversation was never about getting rid of the council's health insurance just to get rid of it. But I had made the suggestion originally at my first budget meeting in 2019 as a simple recommendation to be considered in paying off the debt of the community center. This would have set aside the benefits of the council until the debt was fully paid off. When making hard decisions and considering cuts or limits elsewhere in government, I wholeheartedly believe that elected officials must look internally in their department first before anywhere else. As simple as that. And I will carry on that same principle to the county. And if our county ever faces a similar deficit our city currently faces, I will be the first to recommend offering up our county benefits for elected officials. This recommendation would have never even been made without the presence of a deficit that still exists. Next, I am proud of the vast progress we have made in our public safety departments, with giving the authority to form strike teams to our fire chief and supporting a regional fire training academy, as well as budgeting 5 police officer and 3 firefighter positions. This growth in public safety is tremendous, and the future of these departments rests in good hands with Chief Collins and Chief Wise, who have both done phenomenal jobs leading their departments respectfully. Something I am incredibly proud of the last council is for the first time since its inception in 2002, our city decided not to raise the Melrose annual tax increases. Though being brought up and not considered in 2019 due to a lack of second, I was incredibly proud of the last council to consider this cost to the taxpayer who is already burdened by high taxation here in the state of California. I've always held true to the belief that government on any level should always seek other alternatives than just simply raising taxes. And if rates or fees or taxes are raised in one fashion or the other, we must seek other options to try and offset those raises in the best areas that we possibly can. My parting advice to the incoming council would to always approach recommendations without prejudice. And remember, these recommendations are not personal or out of spite, but are simply suggestions to be considered or not. Work with staff, ask tough questions. We have some of the best staff you can imagine, and I thank each of them for their service. But never be afraid to practice President Reagan's golden rule: trust, but verify. I'd also encourage council members to lean on the experiences of past electeds who have done this job before you. Reach out to them, gain their insight. My mentor, who gave me guidance more than anyone about city politics during my time on council, was former Mayor Louis Arallo. We would meet consistently at Supermom's coffee shop for hours at a time, discussing city policy and ideas of governance. And I actually credit Mayor Arallo in helping me draft the guidelines for the Beautification Committee. Also, hold office hours. Take an hour or two out of your Saturday and meet directly with the public. That is a way to gain invaluable insight when it comes to making decisions on the public's behalf. No one person holds the answers to everything, but it is our responsibility to seek truth and reason at all times. My last thing I'll leave the council with is a simple challenge. Always do what you believe is right, even when the right thing is not popular. That is what this job is. That is what our duty to the citizens is. You may be criticized for it, but no criticism is worse than going home after a meeting and looking yourself in the mirror, realizing you could have done better. Tom, it's been an honor to work with you. I have nothing but respect and admiration for how you've conducted yourself as our city manager, and I believe the best is yet to come. I want to thank each of our staff members for their consistent dedication to our city. You make a difference for us and our residents each and every day, and I am truly grateful for your service. It's been an honor to serve on the city council, and I look forward to working with each of you moving forward. Together, we will continue to achieve. Thank you.
Thank you, Chance. Appreciate that. We'll move on to the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor Lopez. First of all, want to thank you, Chance, for those kind words. 2 years went by pretty quickly, but you're not getting too far away. So I'm sure that there's going to be constant contact between the two of us specifically over the next couple of years. So did want to take a moment to introduce the city council to our new HR director. So Teresa Rowland is the new HR director. She started on December 7th and has been getting up to speed fairly quickly.
All right, good evening. I just wanted to say thank you. I'm excited to start serving the city of Ceres and looking forward to working with everyone.
Thank you, Teresa.
Just wanted to mention a couple more things. Mayor Lopez,
Yes, sir.
City Hall will be closed in the coming weeks for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, in addition to New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. We do not have a meeting on December 28th, so we will be moving to our next meeting, which would be on January 11th. And then with that, I would like to wish everyone Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Tom. City attorney, have anything to say?
Nothing to report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody from the departments have anything to say? Chief? Thanks, on.
I don't have anything to report specifically. I just wanted to take some time to acknowledge Councilmember Chance Condit's service for the last 2 years and his support for public safety and his courage to ask the tough questions. I think you're going to do very well, and I wish you the best of luck on the County Board of Supervisors. I'd also like to show my appreciation and his years of service to Harry Herbert for being the treasurer for many, 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 many years here in Ceres, and I thank him for his time.
Else? And the county supervisor is not here today. Thank you guys very much. Hope everybody has a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year's. God bless everybody. The next regular scheduled city council meeting will be held on January 11th, 2021 at 6 p.m. in the city council chambers located in the community center. So this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.